Let's move on. Supplements. I think implicit in the use of supplements is the idea that you are optimizing your metabolism. On the other hand, I won't name names, but I have had people say to me at this meeting that they would never take supplements because they're concerned about side effects, they're concerned about lack of an evidential basis. Are there any projects that could be proposed that would actually put the use of supplements on a solid foundation?
Well, one thing that I think a lot of us consumers are concerned about is whether we're actually getting what we think we're getting that's on the label of the bottle. And I would love to see some mechanism for certification of the actual contents on the bottle. Does anybody have comments on that?
There's a company that established themselves about 6-7 years ago called Consumer Labs, and I don't frankly like the way they do things from a business standpoint, but they do independent assays on a lot of vitamin supplements from a lot of different companies, and for the most part they find that what's on the label is in the product. Every once in a while they find some discrepancies, but I would say for the most part the vitamin supplements out there, you're getting most of the potency. Some of them we think you're maybe getting 90% of the potency, but even then, for the most part, you're getting the benefit you're seeking. So I don't think that is a major issue, but there are a number of reasons why people take supplements beyond optimizing metabolism. One is to guard against gene mutations, is to get some of the benefits of the cruciferous vegetables, so they're taking chlorophyllin.
Sorry, clarification, Bill, in what way is that not optimizing metabolism in your by your definition?
Well, the foods that we're eating, especially in excess, are inducing gene mutations, and we'd like to think we are protecting against those gene mutations by taking certain supplements, mainly plant extracts, that would reduce the damage.
Yeah, I got that. Okay, maybe we ought to make sure that we have a good understanding of the definition of optimizing metabolism before we go on, because to me what it means is minimizing the rate at which metabolism has these side effects that we call damage. Now, one of those side effects is the accumulation of mutations. So to me, anything that we might take by way of a supplement that reduces the rate of accumulation of mutations, such as the ones you're talking about, is absolutely within the category of optimizing metabolism.
Well, yes, based on your definition, that's
so what's your
why
definition?
people... Yes.
So what's your definition if it's not that?
No, by your definition, that is correct. That is why people are taking it, to optimize metabolism. But our members certainly feel, and the way that we present it is to protect our genes against the unfavorable changes that occur from all kinds of environmental insults.
I think you two are in agreement. I would just like to point out that plenty of people disagree with your definition, Aubrey, and they would instead define optimizing metabolism as maximizing function, which is a very different definition than minimizing damage. But I thought actually one of Aubrey's earlier suggestion about connecting up caloric restriction, mimetics, and human gene variants was an excellent idea. It raises another topic which I'm interested in, which is making the use of supplements or optimizing metabolism using genomic tools. It's an example of that broad strategy. And I have a point that I would like to relate to supplement issues, which I know I am actively grappling with in my corporate work, which is how to connect genomic information, which is actually a sea of information in many respects, to the sea of supplements. In effect, what I'm saying is we're learning at an explosive rate about the genomic foundations of metabolism. I would like, my proposal would be to develop some an investigation of how to connect up the supplement literature, which to me right now is not appropriately structured, or in many ways unstructured, to the burgeoning, what I called earlier today, the chassis of 21st century biology. I don't actually know how to do that, but that's something I would love solutions for. Robert Bradbury.
Although I don't have funding for it, I wouldn't mind having funding for it. I'm about to do something similar to that, and I've been working on developing my bioinformatics expertise, because the databases currently exist so that you can do, you take basically the highly conserved regions, which are presumably the critical regions for metabolism. You run through the NIH database on SNPs or whatever organism you're looking at. You say, are there mutations in those critical portions of the gene? Then you look at whether or not those mutations potentially, the degree to which those mutations alter the possible structure and function of the protein. Then you have to look at the PDB database to see whether or not the structure of that is known. As Aubrey said, complex 1 hasn't been crystallized yet. That makes it kind of hard to simulate it or even think about it effectively. You get these little diagrams in the biochemistry book kind of making this, round ball. And the ones which have been crystallized, you can download and look at them in the computer and say, oh yeah, changing that cysteine to, methionine is going to be pretty hard on the protein folding, so it's going to fold slower, or, et cetera. And in that type of a situation, you would have some correlation between the mutations in the human genome and the specific function that you're looking at that can potentially generate free radicals or control the flow of various like oxaloacetic. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that one came up yesterday, and someone said that was in the TCA cycle, and I'd have to go back and look at my biochemistry book. But what if the enzyme upstream from that slows the flow of that into the cycle, and until you it gets hard because you need the people who've actually done systems analysis and, more importantly, system simulations of the KMs on all of the reactants in the reactions to see what you are speeding up or slowing down. But if you got someone like that involved as well, you could model these things on the computer, and you could know what is happening to the flow of nutrients that is going through the whole thing to say, all right, if you take out this nutrient, your metabolism is going to generate less free radicals and cause less damage, or shift them around in various ways into reproduction, or
Thank you very much. I'd like to add an additional element to this discussion, which is hormone supplementation specifically. Do people feel that there are well-defined projects or a well-defined project we could undertake in the next few years that would greatly enhance our use of hormone supplementation to deal with aging? Yes.
Yeah, I've thought for a long, long time that there's this missing opportunity that's a low-hanging fruit with a high payoff and early timeline. And actually, Kevin Parrott has been getting a little interested in this lately, and that's thymic regeneration. I mentioned before that growth hormone will regenerate human organs after the age of 61. Statistically significant. It's in the literature. Nobody pays attention to it, but it's there. There's also plenty of evidence that the same thing happens with the thymus. And if you could restore thymic function, then you would turn over all of those lazy immune cells out in the periphery, and you'd get your immune system back. And we know that as you get into immunosenescence, if it gets bad enough, you can be reliably predicted to die within 2 or 3 years, I think the number is. So that's something that we tested rather quickly. I've already published a paper showing that you can begin to see starting of human thymic regeneration within 1 month of treatment with growth hormone. But it looks like 6 months is about the right amount of time to really do it right. Growth hormone regeneration of the thymus has been robustly shown in AIDS patients, but you can't really expect much of an immune system improvement in those patients. So we need to get a bunch of healthy individuals and see if we can regenerate their thymus and
using growth hormone.
Using growth hormone, plus probably, I think the IPLEX approach is the smart way to do that, because I don't think there's going to be any increased risk of cancer as long as you increase growth hormone in the presence of the binding protein number 3 for growth hormone. The binding protein has a stronger effect on cancer risk than growth hormone itself. So you can drown out any increased cancer risk if there is one, and so far there hasn't been any that's been demonstrated to my knowledge, and people have looked. But you can be very safe. You use that complex, provided that you can get Insmed to play ball with you. And they wouldn't play ball with me, but I didn't have any money to offer them. So somebody else could maybe make that case. And then I would also ask for consideration of the idea that if there is an issue with the so-called diabetogenic aspects of growth hormone, which I think is maybe controversial, but some people worry that you're blocking insulin sensitivity. My hypothesis has been, and my experimental data has been, that if you combine growth hormone with DHEA, that effect is overcome. So you don't have to have that side effect either. And we've already heard that the other side effects that people sometimes talk about, like carpal tunnel, are not present if you have a reasonable dose. So it seems to me that you're on the pathway to something potentially huge, easy to show, short-term, and clear-cut. So that's what my proposal would be.
Thank you very much.